A lot of people nowadays, they come up to me and say, how can I send as many emails? I want to send 10,000 emails a month. I want to do this. Completely the wrong way of doing it. You need to take care of your deliverability like it's the foundations of a house. If you're building the biggest house, you need the best foundations. The whole house will fall down. If it's a 10 million luxury mansion, it will fall down if you don't have good foundations.
Tal Baker-Phillips is a master code emailer. He's worked at some of the largest SaaS companies and he's now working as a sales leader for Lemlist, a company that went from 0 to 26 million in just 6 years and are now trying to go from 26 million to 100 million with the help of Tal and code emailing.
Yeah, my goal is to help make people's emails as effective as possible, get as many positive replies, improve their outreach structure. I don't want to use words like efficiency and streamline. The problem is that even by tracking open rates, you are decreasing your deliverability. When you are reaching out to people on LinkedIn, always add a message in your connection request. Until you get around 5%, you should not be sending anything more than a 3-step campaign, in my opinion. You shouldn't be doing advanced conditions. You shouldn't be doing LinkedIn steps. You shouldn't be messing around with any of this other stuff. If my subject line gets me 80% open rate and the other one gets me 60%, okay, that one's better, but I can't rely on the data. And the only thing I care about is how many. So one thing you must do is A/B test. You've got to A/B test every single email that you send out. You must do that. You have to work out what's stopping them or is going to stop them or is likely going to stop them being able to reach their business goals. That's all people care about, not the features of your tool, not the benefits of your tool, not how much time you save them, not how much money you save them, not the pains, even the pains. Pains doesn't matter. It's only the...
So when it comes to you, like whenever you track your cold email campaigns, like what are the main metrics that you care about?
One.
All right, everybody, I have Tal. Basically, he's the sales leader at Lemlist, and basically we're going to try to understand how he uses and leverages cold emails and intent-based outreach in order for him to book calls. So welcome, Tal.
Thank you, Greg. Nice to be here. Nice to meet you. You actually got into, it's good that you're doing a podcast on outreach and things like that, because it was your very relatable outreach that actually got me interested in coming on your podcast. So thank you for inviting me. Very happy to be here.
Definitely. Practice what you preach, right?
Yeah, exactly. You did a good job.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, if you could for those that do not already know you yet, you're the multi-channel GOAT, but some people might not know you yet. So if you could briefly introduce yourself, that'll be great.
Multi-channel GOAT. Yeah, I'll take that for sure. That's a very kind way of introducing me. But yes, so I'm Tal Baker-Phillips. I'm from the UK, but I'm based in Paris because I work with Lemlist or Lempire. So Lemlist is essentially an all-in-one prospection tool. So something where you can do email outreach, something where you can do LinkedIn outreach as well, hence the multi-channel, something you can enrich your leads, all of this kind of thing. You can find leads using the database, scrape leads, etc. And also we do a lot of work on LinkedIn. So a lot of the profile that's been built from the Lemlist employees and Lempire employees comes from their LinkedIn profile. So social selling is a big part of what built us and got us to this point, and also what's going to continue to keep us going. And in short, basically what I do is I share as many free tips as possible for people that are doing what I used to do, which is BDR, prospection, outreach, all of that kind of work, because there's no reason not to share it really, because you put yourself as a thought leader. We can maybe come on to this later on. But yeah, my goal is to help make people's emails as effective as possible, get as many positive replies, improve their outreach structure. I don't want to use words like efficiency and streamline, but that's it. Essentially, I share tips that can do that. And I think it's about 30,000 LinkedIn followers now, but there's a lot of people at Lempire that have a bigger following than me even. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do here. I've been doing it for a long time. So that's hopefully what I can share today.
Nice. That was a good intro. Cool. All right, awesome. So I called you the multi-channel GOAT for a reason, obviously, because I've noticed that actually in the entire Lemlist and Lempire team, you guys leverage a lot of social selling paired with outbound in this case, So I'm going to try to understand what's your view when it comes to intent and basically multi-channel, So someone that doesn't necessarily know you, would ask what is different with your approach compared to someone else's approach that's just using an email sender and then just sending messages to people that they do not know already?
That's a good question. Okay. The difference between what I do, so I'll talk you through what I do on my own actual outreach versus what almost every single other person does. So the top mistakes, basically, I'll go through that. The first thing that I would say is that until you are getting a 5% positive reply rate, or as close as possible to 5% positive reply rate. So reply rate doesn't really mean anything, because it's like, I could have 50% reply rate, but if everyone's replying, telling me to, you know, I don't know if I can swear, but like not message them again, unsubscribe, that's not valuable. Positive reply rate is people that are interested, want to have a meeting, interested in engaging with you. That's what positive reply rate is. Until you get around 5%, you should not be sending anything more than a 3-step campaign, in my opinion. You shouldn't be doing advanced conditions. You shouldn't be doing LinkedIn steps. You shouldn't be messing around with any of this other stuff. So the first thing is that I get right a 3-step campaign when I'm doing prospection. Number 2, before going into some golden rules, I would say, and then maybe social selling, is the sending limits. So a lot of people nowadays, they come up to me and say, how can I send as many emails? I want to send 10,000 emails a month. I want to do this. Completely the wrong way of doing it. You need to take care of your deliverability like it's the foundations of a house. If you're building the biggest house, you need the best foundations. The whole house will fall down. If it's a 10 million luxury mansion, it will fall down if you don't have good foundations. That's your deliverability. So mainly what I do also that's different to everyone else is I will never, ever send more than 30 emails per day per email address.
Nice.
Now, to get around that, the way that I do it is a lot of people have warm up, or they're aware of warm up. I warm up my emails properly. I spend at least 4 weeks warming them up, and then I keep my limits to 30 per day. And then I keep my email warm up tool on. So I use Lemwarm, obviously, because it's in my own company. But other warm-up tools are available. But what I do is I have that on all the time, and I keep those limits, and that means that I'm staying healthy, and I'm also having multiple sending email addresses. So just the final point there is that let's say I send 30 emails from email address 1, tal@lemlist.com. I then also have talbp@lemlist.com. Then I have tal-baker@lemlist.net. Then I have, and there you can see that suddenly, instead of trying to spam 80, 90, 100, 200 emails per email address that gets me banned, I multiply 30 by 5, and I have 150 good emails being sent out from 5 different sender emails, and it keeps me healthy. So I can continue to do volume. That's how you scale. The final point I'll say briefly then, obviously LinkedIn social selling, but we'll come to that in a minute. That's a separate point. Building a personal brand is so important. I would say that adhering to, the main point is not sending emails that are too long, but that comes into a point about following golden rules. So I'd say basically you need to make sure, as point number 3, that you are not falling into the classic traps that everyone else is. Emails that are too long, over 50 words, or over 60, 70 words at a push. Having more than one call to action, using super salesy words, talking too much about your company, having really long subject lines. All of this like shit, basically, that means as soon as someone sees your email, they think spam, they think sales, and then they're not interested. Also, more than one problem at a time. So basically, you have to be better than, you have to not be making any mistakes as your base. Then you can write good copy. But the first thing, you need to eliminate all the mistakes. So that is the 3 things I would say that I do differently to most of the people that are doing outreach.
Awesome. So deliverability, having multiple domains, and finally having good copy.
Not falling into the same traps as everyone else. I think number 3, good copy is subjective, because someone could say, yeah, Tal, but I get 10% positive reply rate, 15% positive reply rate, and I have bad copy. And that's true. Sometimes your product market fit is really good. So having good copy isn't the key point. The key point is that even if I had an amazing tool, even if I was prospecting someone that really, really needed what I have, even if I had all the best data, I had enriched email addresses, there were valid email addresses, I had the best LinkedIn everything, I did perfect outreach. If my email is that long, or my email, if my email is that long and it's hidden and they don't know what it is, man, they're not going to read it. They won't. No one will read it. So I think making sure that you are not making the same big errors as everyone else is my point, not just good copy. To nuance it, Greg, just slightly.
Yeah, definitely. So it's not just about like the copywriting, it's like the email formats as well, and trying to say under like 100 to 50 words.
Yeah, 50 to exactly. I say under 50 exactly. Getting the golden rules in place, making sure you are at a base, doing all the best practices, following all the best practices is my point. Following all the best practices is the base. Yeah.
All right, cool. So a lot of people, that I talk to, on this podcast, they've been leveraging like a lot of similar to you, so multi-domains. They leverage multiple domains, and I see that you only leverage. I mean, it seems like you only leverage 5. What is your opinion on like people who have like hundreds of domains, and like doing cold outreach that way?
So by domains, by the way, like I think I can see you like a little bit blurry, but I think it should be okay on my side. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's okay, but anyway, okay. Domains is essentially the section after the at, right? So just so we're all clear, the domain is, let's say I have tal@lempire.co. That's my main domain. So my main domain is
actually,
lempire.co.
let me rephrase emails. I mean, basically not
Sending
not the
emails.
domain itself.
Okay, sure. But that's a good point. There's two different things. So there is multiple domains. That is also a good idea. So I have tal@lemlist.net, tal@getlemlist.net, tal@lemlist.com. That's also healthy, but it's a slightly separate point. The multiple different emails that you have is, you need to be getting the basics right first. You need to be sure that you have a 3-step campaign, you're A/B testing, which is super important, and you are getting positive reply rates of around 5%. You're doing well, really, really well. Once you do that, you can scale up. So I know people, I know clients, I know users, I know a lot of people that have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails being sent out from, 10, 15. I spoke to a guy yesterday actually that was doing that. You don't need to do that. You're basically you're doing it the hard way. You might get 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings by sending 1,400, 1,500 emails from, let's say, 10 email addresses. You don't need to. You can send 300 emails. You can send very good emails, targeted well, and you can get the same response rate. You just don't need to do it. So, what do I think of them? I don't really mind. They can waste their time, but you don't need to do that. You can address the problem in a different way and get the solution, which is positive replies in a more effective manner.
All right. So if I'm someone that's doing that at the moment, what I would think is I'll probably tell you, okay, that's cool, Tal, but like, how do I like increase my volume? How do I book more appointments if I don't add more domains? Because that's what most people are like telling you to like add more domains in this case.
It's a difficult one to answer. So the easiest thing for me to be able to say, you either need to improve your copywriting, or you need to change your targeting, or maybe you need to increase the data quality. But the best answer here is, I don't know. I don't know what someone that says that needs to change, because I don't know what their situation is, and I don't know what's causing the problems that is meaning that they're not able to reach those particular meetings booked target that they have. So I would have to understand, and they have to understand, what's the root cause of what's stopping them from being able to get those meetings. Maybe they're sending 30 emails per day. Maybe they have good copywriting, but maybe their deliverability sucks, so they're actually going straight to spam. So they can increase as many emails as they want on that domain. If the domain's blacklisted, I could send personalized emails all day. It's never going to work. Maybe their clients are on LinkedIn. Maybe they need to do multi-channel. There's so many different solutions. So my first answer is, it depends per person. You need to isolate what it is that's causing the problem and change that. My other way to do that is, I would just go back to my point. You got to understand what problems your leads. You got to know your ICP inside out. If I ask you right now, if I ask the people watching this, what's the main KPIs that your ICP has? What are the main KPIs? Okay, you should know all of them. What are the main 3 to 5 problems that they normally face when they're trying to get those KPIs? What stops them? You should be like that. If I say, what are the average benchmark stats in your particular industry, for your particular ICP? What are you have to know everything. And it's like if you were to say, let's say I'm a doctor, you come up to me, Greg, and you say, hi, Tal, got a real pain in my foot. It's playing football. It's not going away. Do you know? And I go, don't know. Let me have a look on Google. Let me call my friend. No, you're out of that. You're gone. You're not going to listen to me because I don't know what I'm talking about. If you arrive and I say, listen, Greg, let me ask you a few questions. Let me go through this. Normally this happens. Normally this is the use case. Do you play a lot of sport? How often do you play sport? Normally people that don't hydrate well enough before sport have these problems. How often do you drink? Then you're getting somewhere, someone that knows what they're talking about, So the whole time you've got to be in control of every single aspect of your ICP, so the persona, so the person you're reaching out to. You've got to be in control and understanding and knowledgeable about every aspect of their day, of their work, of their targets, of their life, of the things that they're likely facing. And most importantly, what you are able to solve for them. So they might have lots of different problems, but you can only solve 1 or 2. You've got to know what it is that you can solve and how. And then you've got to put that into essentially 3 lines of an email. Then you're good to go. That is as that is how I can answer that question without knowing a specific about that particular
Nice.
use case. If they have any more questions, of course, you know where to come. Find me on LinkedIn and ask in one of my comments, or send me a DM or something, and then maybe I can solve it one by one.
Link down below.
Yeah.
All right.
Or Greg,
Cool,
or
cool.
comment below, in fact, on YouTube. All the comments I'll address, me and Greg can sort them out.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, definitely agree with that, man. Like that's the biggest thing is like a lot of the time when it comes to like cold emailing, even cold LinkedIn outreach, people oftentimes focus too much on like themselves, rather than like their actual ICP and ideal clients, and makes it really hard for them to like just succeed with like one email address or one LinkedIn account. So like definitely knowing your ICP, what are the different pain points that they have, what are the different like problems that they want to solve. I call this like pain and pleasure, knowing like what it is that they want, what it is that they do not want, and then putting it in front of them. So yeah, that's powerful stuff.
And I'll add one more thing on that. The only thing the reason I go on to problems as opposed to pains is because people won't necessarily act based on a pain. So let's say my ankle hurts. It does. No, it's true. But I don't go to the doctor. I don't do anything about it. I don't pay anyone to solve it, because I can still walk, I can still run, I can still play football, and it doesn't hurt that much. Like, it doesn't really bother me. But it's still a pain. If someone came up to me and said, "Oh, Tal, do you want this ankle brace that actually stops anything and makes sure that you don't injure yourself again next time you play football?" Because if you do injure yourself, normally what happens is people with injuries, they actually spend 6 months to a year out when they're in your position. And I go, of course, let me take that just to make sure. That's what you do. But if you just go up to someone and just assume the things they have, they only act based on their own selfish, which is normal, how they can stop getting what they want, which is their KPIs. So if it's a CEO, it's revenue. If it's me, it might be playing football. If it's somebody, everyone acts based on whether or not something is going to stop them or inhibit them from reaching their goal. So you have to do that in business sense. You have to work out what's stopping them, or is going to stop them, or is likely going to stop them being able to reach their business goals. That's all people care about, not the features of your tool, not the benefits of your tool, not how much time you save them, not how much money you save them, not the pains, even the pains. Pains doesn't matter. It's only the problems that they're actually facing, and a problem is only ever linked to a metric.
Awesome. So how do you like actually figure out what are the different pain points that your ICP are having?
So you can do research, you can go on Google, you can go on ChatGPT, you can speak to people, and you can use your own experiences of your own research. You can speak to people internally, you can read articles, you can find out, you can read blogs, you have to just do the classic research. And you can also trial and error. So if you're sending out email campaigns, you A/B test, you try one particular problem. So let's say pains for me, for people that are doing outreach, for anyone watching this, might be low reply rates. That's a pain. It's not a problem, it's a pain. Low reply rates only become a problem when it stops someone hitting their meeting's book target. But anyway, so I work it out by testing things that I think are going to be the main pains, the main things that people are sort of struggling with. And then I test it, send out the campaign. I see the stats when I'm A/B testing, and I see what resonates the most. I see what gets me the most meetings booked. And then I go from there, and I go again and again and again.
Okay, awesome. So that's going to be like my next point as well. It's a good thing that you talked about like tracking and your stats, I was talking to Nick Abraham, and he was telling me how like crazy his tracking system is. So when it comes to you, like whenever you track your cold email campaigns, like what are the main metrics that you care about?
One, positive reply rate. That's it.
Nice.
I don't track opens, don't track clicks. Doesn't work.
Nice.
Click open rates are so unreliable, it's unbelievable. Benchmark metrics are basically 25 to 35% is average, industry average open rate. Anything above that, 30, you might get 35% for a decent sales team, maybe 35 to 40, 45, 50, but that's it. Marketing teams are about 15% at best. Anything below 50% gives you a deliverability issue. The problem is that even by tracking open rates, you are decreasing your deliverability. You're sending a little pixel in your emails, you send it, and that is by definition making your email heavier, and it's more likely to go to spam as well. Don't bother tracking it. The only thing I care about is positive reply rate. So I turn off tracking opens, turn off tracking clicks, And even replies, okay, I see the replies, but it doesn't matter because they might say, hi, Tal, no thanks. I don't really get necessarily that much information from replies. The only thing I get is who is actually interested from this email, who is interested in speaking with me, having a meeting from this email. I go from there. That's it. Makes it way easier. But it seems very counterintuitive to do it. It seems people go, oh no, they're worried. Don't worry. Just go for it. Make sure your technical setup's good. And the only other way people kind of say, yeah, but how am I supposed to know if I have a deliverability issue? How do I know which subject line's working better? Doesn't matter. If my subject line gets me 80% open rate and the other one gets me 60%, okay, that one's better. But I can't rely on the data. And the only thing I care about is how many positive replies. So let's say I get way more opens with one, but I get less positive replies with that same one. I don't care. I don't want to use that one. I want to use the email, complete email that gets me the most positive replies. That's it.
Awesome. Cool. Funny enough, he had like a similar response to you. Tracking.
What did he say?
So yeah, I can see why something like
He said the same. So he said exactly what was his thoughts.
Yeah, basically he was saying that like they basically were like using no code in order to track everything, but the main metric was like positive responses,
Yeah.
And then also analyzing kind of like the quality of the responses, that they were getting from like a campaign, But yeah, very similar.
And we can nuance that. So one thing you must do is A/B test. You've got to A/B test every single email that you send out. You must do that. That is, you have to do it. The other thing you can do is you A/B test one thing alone. Now I've A/B tested a subject line. So my subject lines are all 2 words, all lowercase.
Yeah.
I switched those 2 words and my positive reply rate went up 5 times. And that's true, deadly true. I did a video about it. The other thing that you can do is I actually I wouldn't recommend changing the subject line necessarily. I would change the value-based CTA. So I would only ever send value-based CTAs, no other kind of CTA because they're just not as effective. I would change that. Change what you're offering them. Change the value CTA at the end. That I think is the best way to adjust. Okay,
awesome. Cool. So for this next segment, like what I'd like to do is I want to understand like your cold emailing journey. So whenever you send like emails, to people, there's like you set up the domains, you basically like write the subject line, you write the copy, and then from there you also find the prospects, as well. So let's start with the leads itself. So what's like your best place, for you to find the best leads, based on like your ICP?
Yeah, so my ICP, let's say my ICP is sales teams or anyone doing outreach, mainly sales teams of 4 or 5 plus reps, but at least teams that are growing. The best place to find them is LinkedIn. So the quick answer is that. So if you have a LinkedIn tool scraper like Lemlist does, or there's plenty of ways to scrape Phantom Buster, but I do use, I scrape leads from Sales Navigator because it's the best source of information. LinkedIn is the best. No other data provider, however good they say, B2B provider, Apollo, ZoomInfo, however good they say they are, Lemlist even, it's not as good as LinkedIn. I do also use Lemlist's own B2B database because it has, I think it's 490 million contacts on there now. So I do test that as well, and I try that, and I scrape leads. That's how I find them. Also, I will say, in terms of triggers, you can do that. So you can search your ICP. I go on LinkedIn. I fill in the filters. I add, sales teams of this. I add the geographic location. I maybe add some intent. But that's pretty much it. I kind of then rely on my email copy because I'm not doing any personalization. So I just kind of get the people probably that might be interested in some of the value I'm sharing, and then I add them to a list. The other way is also webinars. So if I ever do webinars with people, I get the attendees, I get the people that signed up but didn't attend, and that is golden, absolutely golden data, because those people are for sure interested enough in that topic. So I'm normally talking about, let's say, cold emails, or I'm talking about what we're talking about today. I know those people are interested in what I can solve. So I get those leads, I put them into Lemlist, and then I enrich them, and then blah, blah, blah. That's probably your next question. So lots of different places. There's webinars, there's pages you can scrape, there's LinkedIn, there's B2B databases, but that's multiple different ways.
Okay, cool. So related to that, like I know you guys talk a lot about intent-based outreach, you know? So
Yeah.
we're other than like Sales Navigator and webinars, you know, what kind of like intent do you guys leverage? I mean, would you recommend that people leverage the most in order for them to book calls? Let's assume that they don't have an audience yet, you know, they're working on it, you know, but they're not like basically they're not established yet as far as brand authority.
Yeah, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up a list because I have a huge list of, I could pull it up in front of me. I have a huge list of email of triggers. Here it is, outbound campaign triggers. So the number one trigger, just to be very, very obvious so that we're all on the same page, is people that are demanding a demo from you. So inbound demo requests, inbound prospects that have come through the chat box. Hey, I'd like to meet with the sales. Those guys are the hottest. If you're not getting on a call with them as quick as possible, you're not doing your job properly. That's obvious. Then it comes to what's something that's called postbound. So postbound is like not people that are like asking directly, but they're pretty much there. So that comes with webinar registrants, webinar attendees, and you will find that the attendees are much, much more likely to reply than the registrants because they were there. They maybe saw your face, they maybe whatever. But then you can come on to other things as well. So maybe they're following a company's social page. Maybe they're following a LinkedIn page that is relevant to your particular industry. There's also a G2. There's also things like Dark Funnel, like a Sixth Sense or Bombora. You can use things like that. I don't necessarily recommend it, to be honest. Then you can go on to things like website visitors. So a feature that Lemlist has recently brought out or is going to, it's in beta right now, is website visitors. So you can track the companies that are visiting your website. The companies are the people visiting your website. You can then go onto the database, or you can go and prospect the ICP within those companies because you know someone in that company is sort of on your website or interested. So that's where you can scrap that data. So I would go with that really, as well as obviously people that have engaged with any kind of marketing content that you've sent out. That's really important as well. Anyone that's downloading newsletters, anyone that's engaging with whatever you've got on your website, anything at all. Those guys are who you need to reach out to. I'll add another one as well. What you can do is you can, again, use LinkedIn. So let's say you see people, likers and commenters on a particular post. Say I do a post about cold emails. I do a post about cold email copywriting. Let's say you wanted to prospect people that are interested in cold email copywriting. You should scrape those people that have liked and commented on my post, because those people are likely to be interested in that. Again, you can also use a lot of LinkedIn intent data. People that are commenting on particular posts, engaging, is really, really warm because they are literally in real time showing you that they are interested and engaged in this kind of topic. And it gives you a way to start your emails. So you can say, hey, Greg, I noticed that you were sort of saying this, or noticed that you were interacting with this particular post, but you don't have to say that. And actually my preferred way is to ignore the fact that I know, not hide it, but just say, hi, Greg, you're probably, and then start my email, because I know in my head that you are interested with this. So I don't need to state it. It's kind of wasted text. I just go into my email. So there's some ways that I would go about doing it if you're not, hosting webinars every week.
Cool. All right. Awesome. So that was intent. I guess like next question is like related to your LinkedIn and cold email flow. Once you have like the leads, you scrape them at this point. Because you mentioned that like, okay, if they're not at a point where they're not, I don't know, let's say that they're not like, they don't have their message to market match yet, they shouldn't do LinkedIn, yet. But let's assume that they have the message to market match, it's working, they have a 5%, positive reply rate in this case. What would you recommend that they start with? Do they do LinkedIn first? Do they do emails? How are they supposed to like structure the flow inside of Lemlist?
Yeah, the eternal question. So this one comes up a lot. The quick answer is email first. Email first let's assume you have multiple inboxes as well. So let's say you have, let's make it easy, 3. Let's say you have 3 sender emails, tal@lemlist.net, tal.1@lemlist.net, and tal.2@lemlist.net. I have 30 on each. I start with that because let's say even if I have 30 emails per email address, that's 90. Took me a second. So that's 90. With LinkedIn, you can only do 20 per day. If you start going above that, you really are asking for LinkedIn to ban you, and you do not ever want to push the limits on LinkedIn. So the easy answer is email, because you might not have to use up one of your LinkedIn connections. You might get the response from your email directly. But if you put LinkedIn first,
Yeah.
Every single lead has to pass through, has to receive a connection request and a
Yeah.
message from you. So that's 20 per day. So you can do 20 and then you have to wait. And then you do 20 again the next day, then you have to wait. Then that means you have to wait 5 days to do the same thing you could have done in 1 day if you just start with emails first. So
Nice.
the answer is email first, then LinkedIn. In terms of what I start with, that was your question. I'm going to stop there. There you go. There's the answer.
If you want to share more fire, feel free to do so.
I was going to say, what's your next question? And then I'll say what's your next question?
Actually, I'm just going with the flow, really.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going to say then, don't overdo so we've got our message, we've got 5%. The thing I would say is that what's really, really good are voice notes on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
David Bentham's the sales director, head of sales development, sales director. Can't remember. Sorry, David. But he changed in mails and he started sending voice notes and he increased the reply rate by 7x. So again, switches like that are reasonable and I would expect it because nowadays what you need to do is you need to be short, concise and real as you can possibly be, conversational, relatable. That's good. And a voice note, if you send me a voice note, Greg, I will listen to it. I will, and people will. They do read emails, they do see messages, but they 100% see a voice note. Well, they definitely receive the voice note if you send it to them, if you've connected with them. Yeah, and it's a really personal way of speaking to someone and engaging with them. And leaving someone on read if they've sent you a voice note is a bit of a shitty thing to do. People subconsciously don't like to do it. So that is a very good, I would say, piece of advice. If you can add a voice note step, it happens that in Lemlist you can add voice notes because from the same campaign. But even if you do it manually, it's a bit of hard work, but you should go and do that. And then aside from that, I would say that build your personal brand, obviously. Again, let's do that later on. But sharing value, a bit of storytelling, but sharing value as well. Whatever you're saying should always relate to what it is that they need, what they'd find valuable, a link that they'd find valuable, a ChatGPT prompt that they reasonably will need. That's what you should be talking about. You shouldn't just be doing it. Just remember that all the time you're doing this, you're not doing it to do bulk, you're not doing it to do numbers, you're doing it to try and, it sounds like a really shitty thing to say, but like start a conversation. You are trying to do that. If you lose sight of that, suddenly you're like, right, I'm going to do as much as I can. And just, if people don't reply, fine, I just want the good ones. You're going to go down a path where you're going to start to piss people off. People aren't going to reply to you. You're going to get a reputation. So actually say things that are genuine. Actually say things that you have learnt are valuable to people and just stick to that. If your LinkedIn message is, let's say you do your email, then you do your LinkedIn message with, there's a really good piece of advice. Do a voice note if you can, if they connect later down the sequence. When you are reaching out to people on LinkedIn, always add a message in your connection request. If you send someone a connection request without a message, they are more likely to accept that connection request. That's true. However, they are 10 times less likely to engage with you if you then send them a message after that than if you send them a message initially. So I'll say that again. All you need to know is if you are wanting to generate conversations, get meetings, whatever, send a message that's very short, has a bit of value. Hi, Greg. I thought you might like this. Maybe saw this or thought you might like this email template that's getting me quite a few meetings every week, 10 meetings every week. All the best. Hope it helps. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. You send that to them. If they accept, then you kind of have a green light to then continue the conversation. And they will much more likely continue to respond to you as well.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. So related to that, like, what is kind of like because obviously like at the end of the day, the goal is to get them on a call, right? There's different ways, that you can do that. Yeah.
Most of the time it is.
Yeah, most of the time, so you can like be direct and ask for the call. You can send them like a piece of content or like some sort of lead magnet that they can check out. Then from there you can book them later down the line. For you specifically, like what's your approach, in order for you to like book the call? Do you go for value first, then you go for the call? Do you go for the call first? Does it depend?
Really good question as well. It doesn't. It doesn't depend. Let's say there's three types of CTA. There's direct, there's interest-based, and there's value-based. Direct
Yeah.
is saying, hey, Greg, blah, 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 whatever. Do you have time for a quick call? What about next Tuesday at 10?
Yeah.
Here's my calendar link. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. Because you've basically, what you have done there is you've put your value at, I put my value at my time. Your time. So your time needs to be, you need to see me as valuable as your time. No one's going to do that. Or very rarely do people's messaging in their emails convince people that their time is worth what I think it is or what I am offering. So that's the first one. That doesn't work. Sometimes if you send 1,000 emails and say, hey, let's have a meet, here's my calendar link, it will book some meetings.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it's not the best way to do it. Then there comes interest-based. Interest-based is your email, and then you say, what do you think? Sound interesting? Does that sound good to you? Worth a chat? Something like that. It's better, but it's not good enough. So I used to also do this all the time. And sometimes you have interest-based CTAs which are mixed with value just in the previous line. So you say something like, it'd be really cool to show you how we can get you 50 meetings per week. Does it sound interesting? Or we get these guys 50 meetings per week. Does that sound interesting? It's not as good as a value-based CTA. You must use value-based CTAs. A value-based CTA is essentially, Greg, first line of the email, second line of the email, whatever that is, we won't get into that now. Third line of the email is, do you mind if I share with you how these guys, Taplio, find 2,500 warm leads from LinkedIn, resulting in 85 new meetings every month? Something like that. So I have linked to the main KPI. I have added a little bit of a success case, and I've given them time. I've given them a value base. Do you mind if I share with you how they do it? Do you mind if are you up for 15 minutes where I can show you how we can do this, which can help you do this target? It's got to be like that. You've got to have a reason for them to get in touch with you, which is based on a value, which is based on a key metric, and so on. So value-based CTA is the only one, really. Other ones will get meetings, but by accident.
Okay, that's interesting because it means that it doesn't necessarily mean just like sharing something valuable. It basically means like it can be on the call, like sharing value on the call, right? I'm assuming. It's not just like sharing a piece of content.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So you could say, do you mind if I share? There's a couple of ways to do it. And this is where I kind of mentioned to you, it depends on what you need. I don't need calls. I don't have any metric for meetings booked. So I couldn't care less if someone joins a call or not. But so I can be much more relaxed. And as soon as I started to do that, I realized that, in my mindset, what I'm doing is I'm sharing something with someone. If that's useful, if I share something with you that's really useful and improves your workflow, gets you more YouTube views, gets you more meetings, whatever, it helps you. You come straight back to me. Like, what else has this guy got? Hey, man, come on. The reason why you got in touch with me, you saw the value that I give on LinkedIn.
I see.
And you came to me. I didn't prospect you. You came to me because I've been sharing valuable stuff on LinkedIn and you thought it would be valuable for your YouTube channel. That is exactly how it needs to work in an email. However, if you do need to also make it clear what you would like. There's no harm in saying, if you're up for 15 minutes, if you're up for taking 30 minutes, if you're up for an hour, be more than happy to, just like we did with these guys, create you a list of 1,000 leads with strong intent data on Clay. Whatever it may be, whatever your value is, whatever you can offer to help them solve their problems, you can also say that. Depends. So I like to get the conversation started just by saying, do you mind if I share this with you? But yeah, also if you sort of need meetings, would you mind if we sort of take 30 minutes? I would go with that in the second email, but as long as you're getting the value-based CTA structure, I'm kind of okay with it. That was a long answer to quite a short question.
That's fine. The people are gonna love it, so that's good.
Okay.
So essentially, you're using like the law of reciprocity. You give them something, and they give you something in return, essentially.
Do you know what? It is that. There is an element of that. Yes, you're right. It is that. It just needs to come down. Yes, you need to make sure that you are addressing things that are relevant. One thing, problem per email, and lots of other different things. But yeah, there is a point of, look, here's what I can do for you. If you are willing to spend time, if you are willing to accept or receive or allow me to share this with you, I'd be more than happy to do it. But you don't want to make it look as though you're hiding it, because then
Yeah,
people
yeah,
immediately with sales, they will put up blockers, and that's where you will piss people off quickly, and then they will go, no, you're done. So you only get one chance. So yes, what you're doing, naturally, there is always a push-pull, an exchange, and people get
yeah.
very suspicious if it's like, you are the millionth customer. Click here to win $1 million. No, because that's too easy. It's obvious. You're not
Are
asking me
people
for
doing
anything.
that?
So if you're saying, yeah, do you know what I mean? So if you're saying, I'm not falling for that again, but if you are saying, look,
Yeah,
I am more than happy to give you this, if you are willing to allow me to send it to you, or if you're willing to take 15 minutes, if you're willing to
yeah,
come with me, what do you think? And if someone really has the problem and they see the value in what you're saying, they will say,
yeah.
yes, sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, cool, cool. And something you
Yeah.
said that stood out is like it has to be relevant, and it goes back to what you said at the beginning, which is to understanding your ICP and what is it that they deeply want, what are their metrics, and like what are the main KPIs. So that's good as well, good stuff. I guess like I think we probably have like another 2 or 3
7
minutes.
minutes we can do.
Yeah.
7
So
minutes. No, yeah, 7 minutes. If you have a couple more questions, we can go quick fire if you want. Because I've been talking like in long versions. You tell me what you need. If you want to do a few quick fire, you tell me how quickly to answer.
Yeah, man. No worries, no worries. We'll just do it quickly. But yeah, essentially, I just wanted to ask you some questions, from the public, Basically, I
Cool.
told them that like you were there, so I'm gonna basically ask you some questions that people had, essentially. So the first one is like related to personalization. The person says
Yeah.
there is much personalization out there, and it is really easy to do it. Do you think that personalization will become less and less relevant?
Yes, because AI will do it. That's why. I don't know if I agree that personalization is easy. I think it's very hard to personalize properly, and I don't think a lot of people do it, including even the best people that do outbound. Sometimes you miss the point that you essentially. I can give one tip about personalization first, and then I can quickly answer it. You need to personalize based on something that the person you're reaching out to has done. If you personalize me and say, "Hey, Tal, I saw your video. I really liked the bit when you did this." Bingo, I'm in. I am interested because you're talking about something I've made. I'm proud of. I'm maybe vulnerable towards criticism of. I'm happy to receive praise on. You've got me. Hi, Tal, I saw your webinar. Amazing, I'm there. Hi, Tal, I saw your post that you wrote. It's really good. I'm there. If you start talking about the other end of the spectrum, hi, Greg, I saw your company's raised 10 million. Bah, I'm bored. It's the other end of the spectrum. So if you go onto a site called Flip the Script/written, Beck Holland has basically put together the buckets of what to personalize on. In the middle, to finish my example, is like junky stuff. Like, hey, Tal, I saw you're a football fan. Me too, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't. But can you see where commenting on something that's really relevant in terms of personal, and then going the other end, which is like to do with my company or something like boring, like in your region, I saw that you guys have done. No, it's the other way.
Okay.
So yeah, personalization is always better than some bulk stuff, but most people do it incorrectly, and it can be difficult to do and find the information at scale. So AI will be doing it and is already doing it with Clay. Lemlist is also changing the way that we do it, but lots of tools are, is my point. Hope that answers.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So if you're sending like a cold email to Tal, don't mention like his favorite football team.
Yeah.
It won't be fun.
Yeah, if you do it right, though, it can be really good. And I've slapped before with some great like copy about like Argentina and the World Cup. These guys were like super impressed. But normally, there's better stuff you can do. There's better stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, awesome. We'll do a last one, but basically, like for you, what are the key elements of an effective cold email that consistently yields high response rates?
Okay. An effective cold email that consistently conceals. Okay. I'm going to put it down to like 3, like this. If your cold email looks like that, it's good overall. A 2-word subject line, all in lowercase. Just start with that. Even if you disagree with me, just start with that because it's an easy thing. Make it boring, make it mundane, make it dull, make it just related to the email, but make it where they go, like what? Well, they need to click it to see more. Then you've done your job in the subject line. That's the first thing. Second thing, I would say have 1 line, 2 lines, value-based CTA. The value-based CTA has to be there. You have to use that in some capacity, however you want to do it. So that's that bit. Signature-wise, I would say keep it really short, no links, and no picture, none of that other bullshit. I have one link because it's to my LinkedIn. So I have a lot of social proof on my LinkedIn. So I do use that. It's not the end of the world if you have links or anything like that, but it's just you're increasing the probability that you go to spam because you're making your email heavier. Keep it simple. Tal Baker Phillips at Lemlist. Find me on LinkedIn. That is my signature. That's it. I would say then what you have to do is you have to keep it less than 50 words, man. You've got to keep it digestible because you've got to make them able to see what you're offering.
Yep.
Then I would say you got to keep it to one problem at a time, one problem that you can solve. You got to introduce something that they are doing or could be doing better. This is a very overview. Introduce something that they are doing right now but could maybe be improving.
Yep.
Then you got to give them sort of the impact of improving it, maybe the way that they can sort of improve it, how they can do it. Then you got to go onto the value-based CTA and wrap it up. That in a nutshell is how a good email is structured. Nice. That's the first email. And then you go on to the second email and then the breakup email. So it's very long. We don't really have time to go into all that now, but that making sure you keep it short, digestible, around 50 words, best practice with subject line, best practice with the signature, and then 3. Keep it as 3 until you've got around 5% positive reply rate. Don't start pissing around with loads of different flashy things.
Awesome. Cool. That was like really, that was a masterclass. Even I learned a lot.
Thank you.
I might implement, some of these strategies as well. So thanks for that. Finally, just wanted to ask you, what are you excited about, for the rest of 2024? I know that you guys are really active at Lemlist, so yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you thank you for it, and thank you for inviting me on, Matt. It was really nice to go through it. And some really good questions. So thank you for that. Also, again, if you need anything, so if I've said something, I can share all the resources for free. Anything you can or can't follow me on LinkedIn, I don't mind, whatever. But I'll give it to Greg so we can put it in the channel, and you can loop back with me because I know it's hard to follow a lot of the things. It's easier with visuals. What am I excited about? I'm excited about England playing Sunday because we might just win the Euros, man. We're that close. We're that close. So that I'm very excited about. I will cry, irrespective of the result. I will cry. And also, I'm excited about LinkedIn. So Lemlist is the sales engagement tool. We have Lemwarm, the warm up, but we also have Taplio. So Taplio is about building a personal brand, being able to schedule a LinkedIn post. And I've just written the AI prompt for the post generator. So if any of you guys don't know how to write on LinkedIn, you don't know how to write good prompts, I've written one and I'm going to integrate it into the tech stack of Taplio. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to write LinkedIn posts, and we're using it now internally. It's really good. You'll be able to write posts, format posts like people that have built their personal brand. So that's really exciting. And it means that I'm going to be posting a lot more on LinkedIn. I'm going to be posting very consistently every day. And that does excite me. And especially as I'll leave you with this, anyone that is thinking about going on LinkedIn, you must start to post. Don't worry about it being bad. Get rid of your imposter syndrome. You can use tools like Taplio in the future once it's all integrated to kind of do the heavy lifting for you. But just do it. Even if it's like my posts were awful at the start, please don't be embarrassed to fail. Please go and post on LinkedIn. It's really therapeutic. And I know this because we actually also have our own affiliate program. You can earn in the future, if you get good, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just per post. So if in the future you're thinking, do you know what? I want to sit on a beach in Bali and be paid and have my own schedule. I want to send money home to my mum. I want to buy my mum a car. I want to buy a house for me and my kid. Start to post on LinkedIn. Please start to post on LinkedIn, because in the next 3-4 years, it's only going to get bigger. And you want to start doing it now to practice and beyond.
Awesome.
So I'm very excited about the world of LinkedIn and sort of personal branding.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, guys, you can check Taplio as well. Legit, I've used it myself. I use it all the time to post content. So yeah, definitely a good tool. You can also check out Town down below, and you guys can see a lot of his content. He's posted a lot of fire. So go ahead and check that out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks, Sal.
Nice one. Greg, absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching.
Take care.